Have you ever met someone who seems completely lost in their own world, stumbling through social situations like they're walking through fog, yet somehow they always know exactly what's going on? They're the ones who appear confused when you're explaining something obvious, but then they drop a comment that reveals they've been 3 steps ahead of everyone else the entire time. If you're nodding your head right now, chances are you've encountered an INFJ, and you've just witnessed one of personality psychology's most fascinating paradoxes in action. Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the mysteries of human behavior. Today, we're unraveling one of the most intriguing aspects of the INFJ personality type. These folks make up less than 2% of the population, yet they've mastered the art of appearing clueless while secretly running mental circles around everyone else. So buckle up, because we're about to explore the brilliant strategy behind what looks like simple confusion. 1. The INFJ paradox. Masters of disguise. Let's start with the basics. INFJs are often called the advocates or the counselors, and they're known for their incredible intuition and deep understanding of human nature. But here's where it gets interesting. They've developed this amazing ability to fly under the radar by appearing less sharp than they actually are. Think about it this way. Imagine having a superpower, but instead of wearing a flashy costume, you dress like Clark Kent. That's essentially what INFJs do with their intelligence. They've learned that showing their full mental capacity up front can make others uncomfortable, threatened, or defensive. So they've mastered the art of the intellectual soft launch. This isn't about being fake or manipulative, it's actually a sophisticated social strategy. INFJs understand that people are more likely to open up and be genuine when they don't feel like they're being analyzed or judged. By appearing a bit scattered or confused, they create a safe space where others feel comfortable sharing their real thoughts and feelings. The genius lies in the execution. An INFJ might ask seemingly innocent questions like, "Wait, I'm confused, can you explain that again?" when they actually understood perfectly the first time. They're not lying, they're gathering more information, testing their theories, or simply giving the other person a chance to reveal more about themselves. 2. The art of strategic confusion. Now, you might wonder, why would someone choose to appear less intelligent than they are? Well, INFJs have figured out something that many brilliant people struggle with. Being right all the time doesn't win you friends or influence people. In fact, it often does the opposite. When INFJs play up their confusion, they're actually employing several psychological principles simultaneously. First, they're using the Benjamin Franklin effect. People like you more when they feel they've helped you. By asking for clarification or appearing to need guidance, INFJs make others feel valuable and important. Second, they're avoiding the curse of knowledge, that tendency smart people have to assume everyone else knows what they know. By pretending to be on the same level as their conversation partner, INFJs can communicate more effectively and avoid talking over people's heads. But here's the kicker. While they're acting confused about surface-level details, their minds are working on a completely different level. They're reading between the lines, picking up on subtle emotional cues, and building complex psychological profiles of everyone in the room. They might act like they don't understand why Sarah seems upset, but they've already figured out it's because of the passive-aggressive comment Jake made 20 minutes ago that everyone else missed. 3. The power of underestimation. There's an old saying, "Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt." INFJs have taken this wisdom and turned it into an art form. They've learned that being underestimated is actually a tremendous advantage in almost every situation. When people think you're not that bright, they let their guard down. They speak more freely, reveal their true intentions, and often underestimate what you're capable of achieving. INFJs use this to their advantage constantly. They'll sit quietly in meetings, looking slightly bewildered, while mentally cataloging every power dynamic, hidden agenda, and unspoken tension in the room. This strategy works particularly well in competitive environments. While others are showing off their knowledge and jockeying for position, the INFJ is quietly observing, learning, and planning. They're like social scientists conducting real-time research, and their apparent cluelessness is actually their lab coat. Think about chess for a moment. The best players don't always make flashy moves or announce their strategies. Sometimes they make moves that look questionable or even weak, lulling their opponent into a false sense of security. INFJs do this in social and professional situations all the time. They'll ask what seems like a basic question that actually reveals a crucial flaw in someone's argument or exposes an important detail everyone else overlooked. 4. Reading people like open books. While INFJs might act like they're struggling to follow a simple conversation, they're actually running incredibly sophisticated mental software in the background. Their dominant function is introverted intuition, which means they're constantly processing patterns, making connections, and predicting outcomes that aren't obvious to others. When an INFJ asks, "I'm sorry, what did you mean by that?" they're often not confused about the literal meaning. They've picked up on a subtle inconsistency, an emotional undertone, or a hidden meaning that needs to be explored. They're using their apparent confusion as a socially acceptable way to dig deeper. This is where their secret superpower really shines. While everyone else is focused on the surface conversation, INFJs are reading the subtext. They notice when someone's words don't match their body language. They pick up on the micro-expressions that reveal true feelings. They sense the energy shifts when certain topics come up. But instead of calling people out directly, which would make them seem confrontational or know-it-all-ish, they use strategic confusion to gently probe and gather more information. It's like being a detective who pretends to be a bumbling tourist while solving the case. 5. The social navigation strategy. Here's something most people don't realize about INFJs. They're actually incredibly skilled social navigators, but they've learned that looking too socially savvy can backfire. People are more comfortable around someone who seems slightly awkward or uncertain than someone who appears to have perfect social intelligence. So INFJs will often act like they don't quite understand social dynamics that they've actually mapped out completely. They might say things like, "I don't really get office politics," while secretly knowing exactly who has real power, who's allied with whom, and how decisions actually get made. This apparent social cluelessness serves multiple purposes. It makes them seem more relatable and less threatening. It encourages others to explain things to them, revealing information they might not otherwise share. And it gives them permission to ask probing questions without seeming invasive. But don't mistake their act for actual social incompetence. INFJs are often the ones who remember everyone's birthdays, know who's going through a difficult time, and can predict exactly how different people will react in various situations. They're the ones who somehow always know the perfect thing to say to comfort someone or the right moment to offer help. 6. The information gathering technique. One of the most brilliant aspects of the INFJ's Clueless act is how effectively it works for gathering information. When you appear confused or uncertain, people naturally want to help you understand. They'll over-explain things, provide extra context, and share details they might not offer to someone who seems to already have it all figured out. INFJs have mastered the art of the follow-up question. They'll respond to explanations with things like, "Okay, but help me understand why." Or, "I'm still not sure I get how." These aren't signs of confusion. They're sophisticated information gathering techniques disguised as requests for clarification. This approach is particularly effective because it doesn't trigger people's defensive mechanisms. When someone feels like they're teaching you something rather than being interrogated, they're much more likely to be open and honest. INFJs understand this instinctively and use it to build incredibly detailed mental maps of the people and situations around them. They're also masters of the strategic pause. They'll stop mid-conversation and say something like, "Wait, I think I missed something," even when they haven't missed anything at all. This gives other people a chance to fill in gaps, correct themselves, or reveal information they didn't intend to share initially. 7. The emotional intelligence advantage. While INFJs are acting confused about practical matters, they're simultaneously demonstrating incredibly sophisticated emotional intelligence. They're the ones who notice when someone's smile doesn't reach their eyes, when a joke falls flat for deeper reasons, or when someone's enthusiasm seems forced. But instead of calling attention to these observations directly, they'll use their confused persona to create space for emotional truth. They might say something like, "I feel like I'm missing something here. Is everything okay?" This gives the other person permission to share what's really going on without feeling like they've been caught or analyzed. This is emotional ninja level stuff. INFJs are reading the emotional temperature of every room they enter, but they've learned that people don't like feeling transparent or exposed. So they package their emotional insights in ways that feel supportive rather than invasive. They're also incredibly skilled at asking the right emotional questions at the right time. When someone shares a problem, an INFJ might respond with apparent confusion. "I don't understand. Why would someone do that to you?" This isn't confusion. It's a therapeutic technique that helps the other person process their experience and feel validated. 8. The strategic advantage of appearing scattered. Here's where things get really interesting. INFJs often appear scattered or disorganized on the surface, but this apparent lack of focus actually masks an incredibly systematic approach to understanding people and situations. While they seem to be randomly jumping from topic to topic, they're actually following complex, intuitive connections that others can't see. This scattered appearance serves them well in several ways. It makes them seem less threatening to people who might be intimidated by someone who appears too organized or systematic. It also gives them cover to ask questions and make observations that might seem too pointed coming from someone who appears more focused. But underneath this scattered exterior, INFJs are actually running incredibly sophisticated pattern recognition software. They're connecting dots that seem completely unrelated to others, predicting outcomes that won't be obvious for weeks or months, and building comprehensive understanding of complex situations. They might act like they can't keep track of simple details while simultaneously remembering every emotional nuance of a conversation from 6 months ago. They'll claim they're bad with names while knowing intimate details about people's lives, dreams, and fears. 9. The protective mechanism. For many INFJs, appearing clueless isn't just a strategic choice, it's also a protective mechanism. Being highly intuitive and emotionally sensitive means they pick up on a lot of information that can be overwhelming or painful. Sometimes, playing dumb is a way of taking a break from the constant influx of insights and observations. It's also protection against the responsibility that comes with clarity. When you see through people's facades and understand their motivations, you face a choice. Do something with that knowledge or pretend you don't see it. Acting confused gives INFJs a socially acceptable way to step back from situations where their insights might create obligations they're not ready to handle. This protective aspect is particularly important in toxic or manipulative environments. INFJs are often targeted by manipulative people precisely because of their empathy and insight. By appearing less perceptive than they can sometimes fly under the radar of people who would otherwise try to exploit their abilities. But even this protective mechanism serves a strategic purpose. By controlling when and how they reveal their true insights, INFJs maintain agency over their relationships and commitments. 10. The timing of revelation. Perhaps the most impressive aspect of the INFJ's strategy is their mastery of timing. They know exactly when to drop their confused act and reveal what they've really been thinking all along. This timing is crucial. Reveal too early, and you lose the advantage of being underestimated. Reveal too late, and you might miss the opportunity to make an impact. INFJs often wait until the perfect moment to share their insights. They might sit through an entire meeting looking puzzled, then ask one question that reframes the entire discussion. They'll appear to struggle with a concept for weeks, then suddenly offer a solution that addresses problems no one else even saw coming. This isn't manipulation, it's strategic communication. INFJs understand that people are more receptive to insights when they're ready to hear them, not when the insights first occur to the INFJ. So they wait, they watch, and they choose their moments carefully. The revelation often comes as a complete surprise to others. People who thought they were dealing with someone who was a bit slow on the uptake suddenly realize they've been in the presence of someone operating on a completely different level. It's like watching someone remove a mask and reveal they were someone else entirely. 11. The long-term game. While others are focused on immediate wins and short-term advantages, INFJs are playing a much longer game. Their apparent cluelessness in the moment is often part of a strategy that won't pay off for months or even years. They're the ones who seem confused by office dynamics while quietly building relationships with key people across the organization. They're asking seemingly random questions that help them understand industry trends that won't become obvious to others for years. They're appearing to struggle with concepts while actually developing comprehensive understanding of complex systems. This long-term approach is particularly effective because it compounds over time. While others are burning bridges with aggressive tactics or showing off their intelligence, INFJs are building trust, gathering information, and positioning themselves for future opportunities. When those opportunities arise, people are often shocked by how well prepared the confused INFJ turns out to be. They seem to come out of nowhere with perfect solutions, comprehensive understanding, and strong relationships with all the right people. 12. The Balance Act. Of course, this strategy isn't without its risks. INFJs have to walk a fine line between appearing approachable and being genuinely underestimated to the point where it hurts their goals. They need to be confused enough to gather information and build relationships, but competent enough to be taken seriously when it matters. This balance requires incredible social intelligence and self-awareness. INFJs need to constantly calibrate their performance based on the situation, the people involved, and their long-term objectives. Too much confusion, and they might miss important opportunities. Too little, and they lose the advantages that come with being underestimated. The best INFJs make this look effortless, but it's actually a sophisticated social performance that requires constant attention and adjustment. They're simultaneously being genuine in their relationships while strategically managing their image and protecting their interests. Conclusion. So there you have it, the mystery behind why INFJs act clueless while secretly outsmarting everyone around them. It's not about deception or manipulation. It's about understanding human psychology so well that they can navigate social situations with incredible effectiveness while maintaining genuine relationships. The next time you encounter someone who seems a bit lost or confused but somehow always knows exactly what's going on, remember, you might be witnessing one of personality psychology's most sophisticated social strategies in action. INFJs have figured out that sometimes the best way to be truly smart is to let everyone else think you're not. This approach serves them well in a world that often punishes people for being too perceptive, too insightful, or too emotionally intelligent. By flying under the radar, they can use their incredible abilities to help others, build meaningful relationships, and achieve their goals without triggering the defensive mechanisms that often shut down smart people. Whether you're an INFJ yourself or you're trying to understand one in your life, remember that their apparent confusion is often anything but. They're playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, and their clueless act is actually one of the most brilliant moves on the board. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the INFJ mind. If you found this helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more insights into personality psychology. And if you're an INFJ watching this, well, your secret's safe with me. Keep being brilliantly confused, and remember, sometimes the smartest thing you can do is let everyone else think they're the smart ones.